it's your buddy Peace and Harmony with you here today. We're going to focus in and zoom in on the experience of being emotionally held back, emotional restrictions, when it comes to really liberating, letting go, healing, and moving beyond a narcissist, borderline, or psychopathic relationship. And before we get started on the video, I want to give a quick shout out to those of you who have recently donated to Peace and Harmony, the channel here. I want to give you my heartfelt gratitude. I really, truly appreciate your donations, your correspondence, your emails. It really does help inspire me and let me know that I'm reaching you guys and that I'm making an impact. And you're able to take some of the tools and apply them to your life, but not only that, but give you language to help you to describe your experience so you can better define not only where you're at, but where you want to go. So I also want to give a quick shout out to my international viewers there in Australia, Sweden, Europe, the UK. We have viewers all over in several continents. So I want to give a quick shout out to you all. And I'm so glad that you have found the channel and found the community. And I appreciate your viewership and look forward to your continued support, input, and contribution. So I want to dive in on a very important concept, and that is the experience of emotional limitations that are put in place by a emotionally abusive individual. And as we know here, it's very difficult to describe and prove or articulate, put a pin in exactly what is emotional abuse. And emotional abuse is really an emotional manipulation. It's a neglect. It's a hurt. It's a harm. It's a destruction. It's where you are making a negative, toxic, and oftentimes lethal, crippling impact in another through emotional means, through the way that you are treated, the messages that you are told, the experience or the environment that you experience while you're around this individual. So in other words, the ethos, the overall environment, and the things that they say, the negative messages, this does create in place an imprint on the subconscious, as well as, if you're in your healing work, you're becoming aware of it consciously, the emotional limitations that you feel restricting you from really fully living your life. And we see this in the social anxiety. We see this in the fear. We see this in the I can'ts. We see this in the procrastination. We see this, in the I would if only. And so there's a lot of emotional limitation and emotional restriction that becomes a part of the issue, and resolving that, eliminating that to really unblocking your life moving forward. And emotional limitations are just that. They keep you stifled, stuck, hindered, and really in a plateau or a place where you don't want to be. And you will really only soar as far as your self-esteem allows you, your self-belief allows you. So it's something that you must keep on top of and use the tools of metacognition and cognitive reframing to understand how this works. So oftentimes when we talk about the unconscious or the unconscious limitations, these are the limitations, emotional, cognitive, as well as behavioral limitations that are put in place that are counterintuitive to our best interest, that are often put in place like a mechanism, like a lever, like a barrier, like a wall, by a narcissistic, psychopathic, or borderline individual. So it is through the influence of fear, obligation, guilt, paranoia, shame, disappointment, abandonment, rejection, and the overwhelmed feelings. So these feelings that they project onto you, and I know that a lot of you are understanding this, that when you feel this projection onto you, oftentimes you learn to adapt and basically fighting like with like, or counteracting like with like. So you begin to learn to adapt and adjust to this type of person. In other words, to keep the relationship going. It might be a family member. I don't want to lose my family member. I want to stay in touch with them. So you adapt and adjust with like energy to maintain the relationship, to try to fit in. So you adapt and adjust. And we'll look at this in a number of ways here and how this can become emotionally stifling and limiting and creating really kind of a blockade or a barrier, stunting your personal growth and your happiness, which oftentimes is not a very common experience for a lot of people who have been in relationships with narcissistic or psychopathic borderline individuals. Happiness, fulfillment, being free, liberated, feeling love, joy, and liberation, sort of that emotional freedom, is not a common experience. So we want to create more of that in our life. And we're also talking about the emotional limitations that are coming with the I can'ts. In other words, the negative messages that you have received from these individuals. In other words, they want to snuff you out. They want to grind their heels into you so that they can rise above. So talk about standing on others' shoulders. They basically seek others to surround themselves. It's oftentimes in the form of like a democracy. The majority wins. In other words, if you can get enough people on your side, or enough people basically caving into your energy, getting sucked into your energy, falling in suit, you have basically the consensus, you have the majority. So it becomes a real struggle. And so the adaptation that you have made to this narcissist, to this psychopath, to this borderline, is oftentimes an adaptation to agree with them. You're right. After so much repeated maladaptive treatment and erroneous negative messages, I am down. I do feel emotionally stifled. I do feel in the DNA, basically in your very cells, you begin to set a chain reaction that begins a very degenerative process. So that's why we see the degenerative, the stomach issues, the sleep issues, the degeneration of emotions. So rather than building up, people building and moving forward in life, we see the degeneration or the procrastination of a lot of life goals, life objectives. I can never make it. I'll never make it. I don't deserve. I can never get there in my life. I don't deserve to get there. I won't get there. All these are feelings that are all instilled at the hands of a narcissist, borderline, or psychopathic individual who wants to keep you controlled and emotionally restricted, emotionally held back. Basically, it's like as if they're almost going like this. They're putting their arm against you so you won't go forward. Have you ever put on the brakes in your car and like you'd go forward? You have a forward momentum in your life. The psychopath, borderline narcissist almost has like an emotional hand keeping you from moving forward. And so the emotions become, auto-generated in this self-limiting, I don't deserve sort of mentality. So that is a cycle which you have to break. And you have to break that really once you realize that the cause that has created the effect in your life. So when you realize that the cause was from a manipulative individual and you realize that they had everything to gain from it, and then you understand furthermore your role, you can say no more. I'm now understanding the cause of this emotional barrier, this restriction. I'm seeing the many areas of my life that it's held me back in, all the way from relationships, career, health, following up on your dreams, your interests, your desires, feeling, afraid to leave the trap, afraid, the Stockholm syndrome, afraid to leave the abuser, for fear that you can't support yourself emotionally, financially, physically. It is all these I can'ts, I shouldn't, I will disappoint, I will hurt, the guilt and the anger and the disappointment, which are oftentimes part of the healing process, is realizing that you have to let these negative feelings go. All the way from the apathy, the I don't matter, and letting that go. Letting go of the fear, the I can't do it, I don't deserve, my needs don't matter, my needs, cannot be expressed appropriately, I don't have experience expressing my needs enough. So you have to really get your sea legs out underneath you, your emotional sea legs, and realize where these barriers are in place. Where are they holding you back? Are they holding you back in just your ability to be happy and laugh and make jokes? Go out and meet new people. Go out and pursue an interest. Go out and just read, or just to relax even. to go out and do some physical exercise, or go fishing, or horseback riding, or a number of different things. Canoeing. What type of things have you always wanted to do, but have always been emotionally restricted from doing? Maybe it's traveling. Maybe it's taking a vacation. A lot of people, they just don't even go, have the motivation, the inspiration, the self-belief to even go out and leave their house. You need to get out beyond and think beyond the box for yourself and use some innovative tools to try to motivate yourself and get beyond those emotional restrictions. But first, identify where these emotional restrictions have been limiting you and holding you back. And realize that you have the key to releasing that cause, which has created the effect of that emotional restriction. And once you realize that, begin to exercise those emotional sea legs and beginning to release those feelings of the anger, the desperation, the fear, the terror, those things which have been crippling of you, realizing that those emotions no longer serve you, but they're probably kept in place by you to try to serve your old role to the narcissist. And it's okay to say, I have grown out of that role. That is not me. I have a zero tolerance for abuse now. I have a zero tolerance for emotional neglect and being emotionally berated and, insulted. All the negativity that you have experienced as a projection, it's okay to release that and let that go and say, I'm so done with this. I'm so done with that old role. You never knew the real me. You will never get a chance to know the real me. And furthermore, I am going to connect with the real me, and I'm going to almost reparent myself and give myself the support and encouragement that I need to go out and make the difference, not only to others, but make the difference to myself in life. And I don't need the validation of the narcissist. It is my own self-validation that really is the key and the ticket to releasing that emotional barrier. We're going to talk more about this in our future videos. Peace and harmony with you here today. I hope these videos do help. Please share and please subscribe for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support.